the Nova I was sold for 1.8 billion. It was sold by Sirius Resources, and the founder was Mark Bennett. And one important thing I forgot to mention is we recently signed him as a strategic advisor to our company.
In September, I saw the press release.
Yeah, just recently. And we've been working with both him and some of his bankers in Australia, and they fully support our deal. So we've been talking to him since the summer, and we're looking to him to provide both technical leadership through this discovery process. So it's fascinating listening to both him and our geos, Garrett and Brett, talk about rocks and the drill program. But what was compelling to him was that our EM target looked so similar to what he discovered. And he thought, in his words, it's almost too good to be true.
Hi, all. This is Andy here with Natural Resource Stocks, and I got on the program today. I got Jordan Black and Garrett Smith with Ramp Metals. How's it going, gentlemen?
Great. Thanks for having us on, Andy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yep, thanks, Garrett. My pleasure, guys. Give you a little bit of a background. We talked a little bit offline, but also to give our listeners a background. I am the timing's been very it's very good for me because I'm very interested in industrial metals and also battery powered metals. Not only everything that's going on, I guess we're recently in the news with everything about cars and that sort of thing, but even in a broader and a longer term play, I just see the shortage as well as the belief, if you would. So, but if I could talk to you first, though, Jordan, just about your background and about the company background, and if also dig a little bit into the financials with you, if that would be great. So go ahead, tell me about your background and why you're with Ramp Metals.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Andy. So I'm a geotech engineer by trade. I have 10 plus years on the consulting side, mostly designing infrastructure, roads, tailings, anything to actually build the mine. Have been heavily involved in pre-feasibility and feasibility studies on the engineering side. I was always fascinated in financial markets, so I took a little hiatus from engineering and got into the VC world. During my time at the VC company, one of our biggest investments was into Gold Spot Discoveries. Once we took Gold Spot public, I later joined them on day one of trading as their VP of Business Development and Investments. And that's where I really found the love of junior and early exploration. We both invested in companies as well as help them make discoveries using AI technology. I think technology is one of the, huge area of plays for mining. You have a historical industry with tons of data, and we can use this data to make new discoveries. And that's where I found Garrett and Brett. So fast forward to a year and a half ago, Garrett and Brett were looking to make a discovery in their backyard. They're both born and raised in Saskatchewan, and everyone always had blinders on for uranium. But people kind of forgot that northern Saskatchewan's pretty big and there's a lot of base metals there. And we wanted to follow this battery metals theme because, as you stated, there's going to be major supply deficits. I don't think people realize that there aren't that many new discoveries. A lot of people go twin drill holes and try to increase their reserves and double or triple them. But we're really missing out on these new discoveries, and that's what we're really trying to do at Ramp Metals. We have a really awesome greenfield exploration play. That's our Rotten Stone Southwest property that Garrett will get more into. And we also have a lithium site in Nevada as well.
So you have two projects?
So we actually have three projects. So two in Saskatchewan. Our flagship's the Rotten Stone Southwest. And then we have the Peter Lake Domain project that's a bit farther up north. They're both fully permitted. They both have 43-101s.
Let me interrupt you. They're fully permitted, so you don't have to go through that process anymore. Is that correct?
Well, the permits last about a year for each site, and they're specific for drilling an amount of drilling. So say 2,000 meters at Rottenstone. What happens there is once the permits run out, they're easily renewed after that. But we've gone through the difficult parts, and we've consulted with the Aboriginals in Saskatchewan, which they're a very great community in Saskatchewan. They're forward thinking, and they really like mining. So Saskatchewan's, I think it was rated #2 in the world by the Fraser Institute for the best places for metal exploration. So part of our story is two great jurisdictions. You have Saskatchewan and Nevada, and
both are very, very friendly to mining. Yes,
exactly. So I'm going to pass it over to Garrett, and he could get into our actual site. I think what's really compelling is with nickel, magnetic surveys or TDEM surveys are the best way to do exploration, and also electrical conductivity surveys or EM surveys. And he'll get into that on why we think we have the next world-class deposit.
Excellent. Okay, Garrett, well, before I go to Garrett, Jordan, I would like to come back to you after Garrett just to talk about some of the financing, if you would. But perfect. Garrett, yeah, tell us about the projects and the geology.
Sure. So just quickly, Garrett Smith, VPX of Ramp here. As Jordan said, Brett and I teamed up pretty much in university. This has always been a goal of mine anyway, was to
That was Regina University, is that correct?
Yeah.
Regina, did I say that correctly?
Yeah, for sure. University.
Okay. The reason I say that, I have a really good friend that went to school there. He was actually, I would do a lot of investment placements, and he was my go-to guy, if you would. And he lived in Saskatchewan, and he's an alum. So nice. I was on your website. I said, I know where that's at. So go ahead.
No worries. So yeah, Brett, as I said, Brett and I teamed up in university. We pretty much worked most jobs together, actually, just the way it worked out. So we worked for, SSR here in Saskatchewan. Then I went and worked for Newmont for a little bit, and he got a job at Rio Tinto. He still
tell me about Newmont. I know about Newmont, but just for our listeners, tell me about what did you do at Newmont?
Oh, Newmont was just a brief job up in the Yukon. So they were optioning into their plateau property. I think it was from Gold Strike Resources or something along those lines. So
there's obviously a gold project being Newmont.
Yeah, they were. I think they were kind of, from what my understanding is, they were kind of late to the game, so they just grabbed something quickly. So we were out there mapping, sampling, and everything like that. We did that for the full summer, and then they ended up just dropping the project after that, and I think picked up a different option.
Sure.
So then I ended up working for Rio Tinto here in Saskatchewan on the diamond project. So they were optioning into Star Diamonds, which is just east of Prince Albert here. So I did that for a couple years actually. And then once COVID hit, we kind of shut that down. And then I really started to try to get this off the ground. Brett still works for Rio. He's up at Diavik, but he does plan to come on more full time once we get going here. So I'll just quickly share my screen here. And we'll get into this. Can you guys see that there?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Awesome. So just a quick overview. So our total land package is roughly 10,000 hectares. Our main focus right now is the Rottenstone Southwest property. And this is the location of the Peter Lake domain. Rottenstone is in the Rottenstone domain. Peter Lake's in the Peter Lake domain. I call them based on the geology, basically. So this is our Rottenstone Southwest claim. To the northeast of us is all Fathom Nickel here. So their symbol is FNI on the Canadian Stock Exchange, CSC, I believe. So this is their Albert Lake project, and the star is the location of the old Rottenstone mine. And then to the south of us here, this is their Gochagger Lake project. And they just recently got 58 meters of a 1.49%. And included in that was, I believe, 18 meters of 2.49%. So between the Rottenstone mine and Gochagger, to me, it really speaks that there's the potential for nickel in the area. We just need to find basically the feeder zones and what I think we have here. That's exactly what I think we have here in Rotten Stone Southwest.
What makes you think that?
Sorry?
What makes you think that?
Basically, it's just a working theory right now, because we only really have geophysical data to go off of and the data that Fathom has, basically. But basically what Fathom has shown with their Albert Lake work is that it's the northeast southwest structures that are controlling the mineralization there. And every time they cross one of these mag high structures, it really pings back for nickel. So whether it's with the drill up by their Albert Lake project up here, or when they're doing soils, every time they cross one of these things, it really pings back high for nickel. And they all seem to lead back to our eye structure here. So
Got
this
it.
eye.
So if I can interrupt you, if it pings hotter, like a hot red or pink there, that's a higher probability of nickel. Is that correct?
Right. This is just a magnetics map right now.
Okay.
So this really just, to me, your magnetics really just shows you the structure. It really lets you see fault zones, things like that.
Yep.
So what I think, what we're working off of, and also I believe what Fathom is working off of, is that these are like the fluid pathways for all the mafic and ultramafic magma that would have been needed to produce these very, very high grades, because where this was found was in a very small pot of magma, and there's just not enough material there to produce these crazy high grades. So the problem has always been, where's the rest of it? So we're working off of this theory right now. Like I said, a lot of work still needs to go into the ground to prove that, but everything that we're doing just seems to check these boxes. So what really drew me to the area originally was I thought that this eye structure, just from regional geophysics, I thought this eye structure looked very similar to the eye structure where the Nova Bone. That was my original idea for staking this. And with all the work Fathom had done, we just decided to run our geophysics right away, because it is quite a large property and we needed to narrow down our areas of interest, basically. It is quite heavily forested, so to just wander across and see something is very, very difficult. So what we did is we ran 858 line kilometers of a high-def heliborne mag and EM survey. It was at 100-meter spacing, so we get this beautiful eye structure here. I mean, it's very nice. It looks very nice, but for me as the geo, what we're looking for are these conductive targets. Those are the things that we're chasing. And once we got back our conductive targets, that's what really pushed this to the forefront of our exploration. Not only does it match up very well with what they saw at Nova, so these are the conductor locations of Nova within its eye structure. And this is our eye structure here. The magnetics is in red, and then our conductors are in pink here. And what really, really stands out for us is that it gives us that classic textbook signature that you would want from the geophysics, where we get a discrete mag high, and then we have underlying discrete conductors that don't appear to be formational at all. So when we get into our actual EM conductors, we can see that this main conductor, or the conductors, I guess, of interest here in the central portion of the claims, they're prominent throughout all our time channels. So even our very late time channels, when everything else fades away, it sticks out like a sore thumb. So that's a very, very good signal for us that it is potentially sulfides, and we definitely do want to follow up on this. I'll just note one thing is that this is clipped to our original claim block when we had originally staked it. There was some overlap just in the way that the lines are flown, and we ended up picking up a very nice conductor on this edge of the survey and on this edge of the survey. So we ended up expanding our claims to the northwest and to the southeast based on these results. And just one more thing that makes this such a good target for us is that elsewhere in the Rotten Stone domain, so the old mine site and the showing just south of it, they were both found in the hinge zones of these northeast southwest trending folds. And so when we throw our EM conductivity map into Leapfrog and do a 3D block model of it, it's clear as day that it plots up for us as these northeast southwest trending fold noses. So not only does it match up very well with what they saw at Nova, but it's also matching up extremely well with what we would want to see for a target in this specific region, because it matches very close to what the mineralization is in this region. So basically what I have planned for it right now is we have 2,000 meters of drilling planned. We didn't want to, be waiting for permits and stuff once we got public. So as soon as we got our results back from the geophysics, I just plotted up some drill pads and got started on the permits. So we're fully permitted for 2,000 meters of drilling. From 4 drill locations, we'll test 3 of our main conductors, 2 within the eye and then 1 just outside the eye to the southeast there. But everything is very, very shallow for us here. So we believe it starts right at surface or very close to surface, like very shallow to underneath the surface. It looks like the fold nose occurs. And we do have a program plan to go out there in the next 10 days, actually, because we do want to go and cut this first drill pad, at least this first drill pad, before we're public. Get that one cut, do a quick smash and grab sampling, as much stuff as we can do over top of this, just so it makes it easier to mobilize the drills in the winter. So I don't think between the
That's
time
interesting.
between the time we go public and Christmas, I don't think we'll be able to squeeze the program in between there. So we've got a plan to start right after Christmas, January, and then hopefully have it wrapped up end of January, mid-February, and results beginning of March, if all goes to plan type thing. But that's basically our plan for this. As I said, our max depth for these holes is 200 meters. So we're not chasing these crazy deep anomalies. But that's basically what we have planned for this program. I don't know if Jordan, do you want to go over the financials?
Well,
Yeah,
Jordan, actually, let me ask if you don't mind real quick. What about infrastructure? I mean, Garrett just said that there's it's a heavily forested area. Is there any infrastructure? And if not, what's the plan?
So basically, before we can justify building a camp out there, we're about 53 kilometers from the nearest town, which would be a town called Missinippi. It's a resort town just north of La Ronge. It's got, an airplane, an airbase, airport, airstrip, cabins, everything that we would need. So everything is easily accessible there. We will have to eat a bit more costs on helicopter costs, because what we're going to do is just fly the drill out there, plunk it down, fly the crews back every 12 hours, and then fly the core out and have all like the geos, everybody else back at camp. And the only guys that are really on site are the drillers and any guys that we send out for geophysics for hole probes or things like that. So once we do this program, and if we do prove it is what we think it is, then we'll go, and there's a very big lake called Keith Lake just on the south edge of the anomaly, and then build a camp out there. So everything's accessible by float plane there. We can just float plane everything in. I believe it would still probably be heli based for the programs, or if we can drag the drill around, they'd be winter programs. But it would really cut down on the heli costs if we can do everything by float plane to the main base and then just heli as little as possible.
And like long term, if you're thinking like mining infrastructure and where does this go once we make a discovery, our hope is right? Yeah, exactly. But say we do decide to stay on and work the program to a mine. We want Fathom Nickel to also make a discovery, which they've hit some pretty high grade stuff already. And then with all the critical metal spending the government is doing, we'd want them to build a road right up to both sites or that whole new area. So really, this, as we were saying earlier, this is a whole new area play because everyone's been focused to the south. This could open up a whole new region for both us and the government.
Got it.
Garrett, before you go to the financing, can you go back to the Nova Eye? I just want to say one thing regarding that. So the Nova Eye was sold for $1.8 billion. It was sold by Sirius Resources, and the founder was Mark Bennett. And one important thing I forgot to mention is we recently signed him as a strategic advisor to our company.
In September, I saw the press release.
Yeah, just recently. And we've been working with both him and some of his bankers in Australia, and they fully support our deal. So we've been talking to him since the summer, and we're looking to him to provide both technical leadership through this discovery process. So it's fascinating listening to both him and our geos, Garrett and Brett, talk about rocks and the drill program. But what was compelling to him was that our EM target looked so similar to what he discovered. And he thought, in his words, it's almost too good to be true. Another fun fact as well, in Fraser Range, Australia, before they made the discovery, there was a small mine 30 to 40 kilometers to the north, like similar to our project. So that's just a coincidence, but it's a fun fact, and it's a good story. We love to have Mark on the team. So really, we're trying to build this world-class team to hopefully make this world-class discovery. And obviously, the odds are still against us, but if we have the right team and the right resources, we have a better chance at making this discovery.
So that's really it. It's team and money. So tell me about the money.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can fast forward to that slide, Garrett. So currently we signed a merger agreement with Anacott Acquisition Corp. They're CPC listed on the TSX Venture. It's a binding agreement, and what it allows us to do is a reverse takeover. The TSXV has conditionally approved this deal based on our 43-101 that they've reviewed and the agreement. What's left now is we have to raise a minimum of 1 million, and that's their condition. And what we're doing is we're actually trying to raise 1.5 to 2 million. We think it's a great timing with the market seems to be bottoming right now. So pre-money valuation at 20 cents is about 5.3 million. We've raised about 600,000 over the last year in our seed round and friends and family round. That was done at 15 cents, which was about a $3.4 million valuation. And what's great about our company is prior to this round, we had no options or warrants, very clean structure, and 67% of the company is held by officers and directors and management of the company. Which will be locked up over a 3-year escrow period. So as Garrett and Brett will both tell you, like, they're not in it to make money, they're in it to make a true discovery. And obviously money will come with that, but we're here for the long term.
If I could interrupt you, what price is everybody locked in at?
So the majority of the round was done at 15 cents.
15 cents, that's what it was.
Yeah. So that was our last round. And then this round is at 20 cents. And there's a kicker of 35 cents, a 35-cent warrant. Sorry.
Okay. Got it. Okay. I'm trying to think because I'm surprisingly very interested.
Thank you. No, like, this is a very compelling story because I think it's analogous of the market. Obviously the TSXV has had troubles over the last year. It's probably like the worst looking chart in 20 years. But the bottom is there. And what people want is actually these new discoveries. Because if we're going out at a $5 to $7 million market cap, if you make a discovery, you could have a $1 billion asset on your hands. It's much more fun than proving out a reserve, in my opinion, but maybe I'm a bit biased. But either way, we're going to take this company public, and that money is going to go into the ground, which are these drill holes and the drill program Garrett just mentioned, because we want to make that true discovery. And what's great about coming in on this current round is you don't have to wait long. We're not going to go kick rocks for a year or two. We're going straight to our program.
Yeah. What's the ETA on going public?
Yeah, so we would like to close this financing by October 31st. Once that's closed, we submit that with our filing statement to the TSX. Ideally, they take 30 days or less. So say we're trading end of November. And like Garrett said, we probably won't do the drilling in December just because of holidays. But ideally, we're trading sometime mid-November to mid-December. And then we mobilize our drills the first week of January. And say we get the drilling done by the end of January, you could expect assays in early March.
All right. Probably my biggest concern, and just tell me what this is like. I mean, there's 1,000 companies in Vancouver, and everybody's a great guy or a great team or whatever. So, yeah, help me through that. I get it. Great project, great looking project.
For
But
me,
yeah.
Sorry, for me, it's just I've always wanted to do things differently. As I said, I have no interest, and Jordan is the same way, Brett's the same way. We have no interest in going and working old properties, recycling old properties.
Right, new property.
So for me, like, well, yes, you have all these other teams out there and everything like that. How many new projects do you have that are being brought to the pipeline? I just find, a lot of companies now, like I said, they just want to do the least amount of work possible or go twin an old drill hole just to keep like a lifestyle company, but nobody's actually out
That's
there.
my biggest concern. Exactly.
So for me, like, while it is a very binary play, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. Like, it's either going to be what we think it is or it's not.
Right.
At least we give our investors the opportunity to go out there and be part of a real discovery. And we're not just going to go waste your money and bleed you off for 2-3 years while we do nothing really. We want to go there and really try to prove things up. So
yeah, and going back to the team, I know everyone says they have a great team, but Mark Bennett, who we brought on, he's actually one of the top nickel experts in the world, especially on the EM side, and that's actually how you find nickel is based on these EM surveys. And we're also bringing other advisors on as well. So really, there is a chance we miss when we're drilling, but that's not going to stop us. And that's why we're bringing on the best experts around. We want to create this global exploration company and create value for our shareholders.
Okay, got it. Okay. Where can people find you? Give me your website and yeah.
Yeah, it's rantmetals.com. The investor presentation is right on there, and there's a contact form that will go directly to me. Yeah, feel free to send people my number once they reach out.
Got it. All right. Any parting words, gentlemen? Any last thoughts?
Not really. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was a great conversation. Happy to do this again, and looking forward to your investment as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
Cheers.